Hi YouTube, welcome to day 29 of our board studying. That means we have 4 days left. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the test is on Friday. Or maybe it's 5. I have to check how I've been doing my countdown. But anyways, I am kind of burned out. I really am. I didn't think I would get like this, and if I could go back in time, I think I would have scheduled my test for I don't even think it was an option to take it last Friday. I don't know if in the perfect world, I would have taken it Friday. I feel like that was a good time. And I could have gone home to my sister's graduation party and been done, and then hang out with family and friends. Just because at this point, I'm sick of studying, and I don't know how much of it is actually helping. Yuck. My goal was to read through first aid again completely before the exam, and I just don't think it's going to be done because I sit there with it and it's just such a daunting and like gross task to me. I just don't feel like doing it, so then I end up dazing off or like doing something else or just not doing it. But what I found that I actually enjoy doing is questions, so I think I'm going to continue on with questions. Today I finished, I'll show you my notes from Sav-Race, and I made sure I had everything I wanted OMM-wise, because I hear part of our exam is quite a bit OMM, like more heavy than any other topic. So I have this is actually from our notes from class, because I hear the Chapman's points in Sav-Race are not all, like, you need more of them. So I printed that off and kept adding some as I would answer questions in OMM and be like, oh, the posterior prostate Chapman's point. I did not find that anywhere except in that question answer, and so I added that to the sheet. It's the sacral base, by the way. Yeah, I didn't get that one right. Anyways, I just wanted to show you my notes on what I've been doing. So here's just one example. And so I wrote these up from the Sav-Race book, and then I go back and highlight after I do OMM questions. So, I'm kind of rambling now, but see if I can not confuse you. But in the past, I've done, ever since the beginning, I always did timed and completely mixed unused questions is how I did all my qbank, and I would highly recommend that for anybody. But now getting down to the last few days with Kombank is kind of frustrating because even though I have like 500 questions left on it, I am completely out of, I think, biostats, ethics, medical law. I'm out of OB-GYN questions. I've been out of GI questions. I have like 10 OMM questions left. And so anytime I do make a 50-question test, it's not well representative because I know I won't get another ethics question, or I know I won't get hardly any more OMM questions. So I have ComQuest, which I'm really excited. I'm going to do a full review on that, and I started really using it for my first time today, and I love it, and it's so great. If I would have known this, I would have for sure purchased another qbank for my last week or two of studying because of this reason. I didn't realize I would be completely out of certain topics by the time I was getting close to being done with my banks. But I love it now, and I've seen a huge jump in my scores. And I think the questions might be even a little more difficult, and it's set up exactly like the ComSay, so I'm expecting this is what it's going to look like for the real test. But anyways, I'm going to do a complete review on that. Not tonight, so I'm excited about it though, and really like it so far. But anyways, I used Kombank today to go over OMM questions. I would just do 10 questions set at the time and answer them, and I was getting like 80s and 90%. And then I would go through and then, like I said, highlight on my sheets because I knew that, okay, these were asked at least once or multiple times, and I only had to write like 1 or 2 things down, like the extremities externally rotate with inhalation and internally rotate with exhalation. That was something that I did not know, and I didn't read in Sav-Race either. But someone asked, since also I won't be doing a Sunday answering your question video because I will be done by then, I thought I would answer questions that I got. I'll just answer them tonight. And there's lots of great video ideas that I will possibly tackle all of them in July. But they mentioned high yield. You know, how do I know it's high yield? And for me, well, Sav-Race like makes it bold and says like trigger point, make sure you know these. And when I listened to the OMM edition of the Doctors in Training, they made sure to point out these chapters are super high yield. You know, I think there's one point that says like 20% of your OMM questions will come from viscerosomatics and or somatic reflexes, and sympathetics, parasympathetics, Chapman reflexes. So make sure you know those. And what helps is I've been doing questions since January, so I know what they stress. So I made sure I went back and memorized like L5 in correlation with the sacrum, because I knew they asked a bunch of questions on that, and I didn't learn it that way, so I knew I had to learn that. And cranial sacral, there was a bunch. I had to know the axes and which ones went and how to diagnose them, because anyways, doing questions really helped, because I could definitely see that they focus in on certain types of topics, and so that's how I decided what was high yield. I don't know for sure until test day, but it seems to be helping with my test scores. Today it went through the roof, so that's really good. So I was going to mention too, with my struggles in studying, I was going to read like 5 topics out of first aid today, and I got through behavioral science, maybe 1 page out of biochem. Yeah, not going so well. And I also have this issue where I'm kind of a perfectionist, and so like when I'll write up one of these notes, today I was doing cranial sacral and I got like this far in and I noticed I made a mistake, so I threw that one away and started over. Yeah, so writing up my notes takes way longer than it probably should, but I actually enjoy it and I do learn things from it. So I'm just trying from this day forward until the test. When I'm studying, I'm just going to try to do things I enjoy so that I'm actually doing something rather than trying to force myself to read first aid, because I'm not getting it done. I mean, that would probably be the best use of my time at this point, but I just can't seem to do it. So I'm going to do what I can do, and that is right now questions and writing up sheets and going through that. Anyways, I'll let you know how it goes tomorrow. Maybe it'll be completely opposite and I'll be able to read first aid. I have no idea. And there's another question about Student Doctor Network. Yes, I did mention that, and I actually used that when I was interviewing at medical schools, and it was a great tool because other students beforehand had posted, they asked these types of questions. It was set up with 3 interviewers, and there's 1 interview, and you do the tour first, and then, and that was helpful just to give me an idea of what to expect. You do have to take everything with a grain of salt, and I'll probably get up on my soapbox right now. It's anything you find online, and me included, because you guys are watching my videos, and this is my own experience and super unique, and I don't want you guys to take my word as, gold. You shouldn't. This is my experience, and I'm sharing it, but I don't want you to expect this is how things are and should be, and I mean, please don't. I remember when I was a first year listening to all the second years and they'd say, oh, this was a really hard test, or this was a really easy test, and it just wasn't true. Or one person would be like, oh, I studied like this, or oh, don't go to class because it's not helpful. And I finally figured out second year is you just have to figure out what works for you. Definitely listen and listen to people, but kind of do what works for you. And if you have nowhere to start with, yeah, get a bunch of other people's opinions and try them out for yourself, but just go with what works for you. Anyways, that's my advice. So with Student Doctor Network, you just have to understand that there's people commenting from all over and all different experiences and all different opinions. So what might work for them might not work for you, or one person's testing experience might not be even close to what it is, or might be exactly the same as yours. I don't know. But anyways, that's my little rant on that, because I've been kind of monitoring that for the people who've taken the COMLEX already, and I don't know, now I kind of wish I hadn't, because I had my first, dream or kind of nightmare about the COMLEX last night, so I woke up at 4 in the morning, and I could not fall back asleep. It was just awful, and I think that's partly to blame, because, number 1, it's coming up, and number 2, I kind of got freaked out after reading some things on Student Doctor Network. Another form that I like to use is, I think it's called mommymd.com, and no, I'm not a mom or anything yet, but it was just really great to get women's opinions and women in the workforce and when to get pregnant and how it is having kids in medical school and being a physician with all that. So that's one that I also go on quite a bit, and I don't ever comment, but I always read what people have to say. I think that was for the questions I'll answer now. All the rest are kind of video suggestions, and I'll definitely take all those into consideration when making my videos this July. So tomorrow we go to school at 6:30, and I'll take another ComQuest test, and I'm kind of excited to do another one of those tests. So I think that's all for tonight. I hope you guys are having a great Monday.